That is a track called Believe off of Sparta's most recent album, which is really new. It came out in April, and there was going to be a concert tour, but of course that had to be scrapped because of coronavirus. Jim Ward, who was a founding member of Sparta and at the Drive-In, also owns a restaurant in El Paso, and recently wrote an op-ed about leaving it up to the restaurant owners to decide if they want to open or not. Hi, Jim.
Hey.
Jim, it seems like just yesterday that you were here in the studio and we were bumping the elbow thing and, talking about what was on the horizon and what was going to happen. And we talked a little bit about what this was going to mean for your employees at Eloise, which is your restaurant.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can kind of communicate the point. The first sentence of your op-ed says, "My name is Jim Ward. I own a restaurant, and I am angry." So why don't you pick up from there and explain to us who you're angry at, what you're angry about, and what is your perspective on this?
So I think from our point of view as restaurant owners, we've followed all of the guidelines that were set for us in our community, willfully and happily. I think it's the right thing to do. I think the things that we know scientifically about this are that it's very contagious. You don't know who has it all the time. Like, you don't always show symptoms. We don't have enough testing. All of those things we know for sure. I think what I feel has happened is, especially our governor has decided to wash his hands of this so that he doesn't have to deal with the ramifications of it, right? So I don't want to make my base upset by saying that we need to stay home, because I feel like a lot of people, if you don't see it in front of you, you just choose maybe not to see it or to believe that this is happening. I think when you listen to the medical professionals and they're saying, look, we're on the edge of being overwhelmed now, and this has been with this insane lockdown and this craziness. And yeah, I get the business end of this. Like, we're suffering as much as anybody else. But at the same time, when you leave it up to us, you put people in a really bad position. And sort of, I think you chose this job, right? You chose to make these decisions. You literally campaigned for it.
You're talking about the governor, the job of governor. Okay.
Yeah, specifically governor, and then work your way down. So then you get to, our local government, which sort of says, well, I mean, if the governor, what are we going to do? And I just don't know if that's the right answer. So instead, it just puts it on our shoulders to say, all right, well, you guys make a decision, but only 25% capacity, which, mathematically is really hard to even begin to understand if you could make money at 25% capacity, much less if it's safe, right?
Yeah. So when you talk about your base, are you talking about your base of fans of Sparta or your base of fans of your restaurant?
No, so when I was saying base, I was referring to the governor. So I'm saying, the governor is saying, like, I don't want to upset.
Oh, I see. You were speaking as the governor. Gotcha.
Right. Yeah. So for me, there's no second thought for us. For us, this isn't safe for our staff. This isn't safe for our community. We're a neighborhood restaurant, right? Our neighborhood there's plenty of people in the, scary zone of age, right, in our neighborhood. So I don't think that that's something that we should be doing. I'm just upset that I have to make that decision, and now my landlord is going to look at me and say, you chose not to open, right? There's no reason you shouldn't be paying rent.
Were you not paying rent for April?
No. I'm saying that all of these things are difficult. Yeah, we've been working with our landlord. Obviously, a restaurant is meant to our businesses are not meant to survive without cash for very long.
You know, Jim, you know, though, you wouldn't have to talk to too many business owners. Like, you could just go up the street that your restaurant is on, and you wouldn't have to go too far before you found a small business owner who disagreed, who thinks that they should have opened it earlier, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's a nail salon next door to us that the minute they could open, they opened, and there's plenty of cars in the parking lot. And, again, this isn't me judging other business owners at all. So this isn't, I understand that predicament. Like, I understand how scary it is when you're looking at, we're going to lose our business, we're going to lose our house. We're in the same boat. We're all in the same boat. My point is, there needs to be somebody in charge who's looking after the community in general,
So
right? Not
what-
just our specific businesses.
I think what I'm hearing you say is that you think elected officials from the governor right on down to city government, so I guess that would be the mayor and the county judge who make these decisions, are kind of punting the ball. So
Exactly.
that whatever happens, they're not going to be blamed because they can turn around and say, well, we left it up to the businesses how they would reopen. And
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I thought, one of the best things I've seen from another local business is somebody commented on, it's a bar owner, and I can't remember which bar it was, but he was saying, like, look, you can't police people that are drinking. Like, there's no way you can open, like, what are we supposed to do? You tell us, at some point you're going to open bars, and then we're going to try and convince people to not be within 6 feet of each other while they're drinking? Like, that's absurd. Right?
I don't know if you've been in a restaurant that has a bar, but my understanding is there are a lot of restaurants that operate a bar and they're allowed to reopen, and people just sit at the bar and drink.
Yeah.
You just go in and you don't order food, and it's kind of like being in a bar. So I know that is happening. And Once you get in a bar and once you've had a couple of drinks, the next thing you know, come on, you and I both been there, Jim. You're having a conversation like way too close to somebody that you would normally give their space to.
Of course, and I mean, I'm not blaming, and this is the biggest thing to understand is I'm not blaming owners that are opening at all. Like, I 100% understand why people are opening. I get it. Like, we're making that choice. We have maybe, we got some of the federal money, so we're like, okay, for a little bit, we're budgeting. But I get it. I just think that when you put that on our shoulders, it's not fair. I don't want to have to sit down and make that decision between the safety of my staff and the future of my business. I don't think.
Okay, let me play the part of a business owner who was raring to open and wanted to open right away and is doing the 25%. I would say, and once again, I'm just playing the other side of the coin here. Well, fine, Jim. You do things the way you feel comfortable doing, and I'll do things the way I feel comfortable doing, all within the guidelines mandated by the government. And that's what makes America great, man, is freedom. You can handle this the way you want to, and I'll handle it the way I want to. How about that?
Right, which is 100% why I wouldn't argue with you. Mm-hmm. That is what I love about being American.
Right.
Like, I love that I have the right to write this and say I don't agree with it. I love that you have the right to open your place. Like, the part that I have a problem with is that both of us should be listening to our elected officials who should be looking at the community at large and worrying about the big picture. Like, I don't expect you as a business owner to look at the big picture. I look at you to look at your picture, right? And I'm looking at my picture. My picture is I don't feel safe opening my place up to the public when this is continually spreading and continually growing. That's my choice, right?
All right,
so
Jim.
I have no problem with that.
Let me play. We're talking to Jim Ward. Jim Ward was a founding member of At the Drive-In, which was a really influential band in Sparta, which was about to go on tour, and they got a new album that just came out. And Jim owns a restaurant called Eloise. It's very popular. So let me now play the part of a government official. I'm not going to say like the governor because I don't know exactly what he'd say, but it's like, all right, Jim, you want to talk about big picture? Well, the medical professionals are only looking at it from the medical standpoint. Their job is not to factor in the economic impact this is going to have. So as your elected official, we're weighing those. And I'm basing this on some of the stuff DeMargo said to me on Friday. We've got to look at both, and assess our risk and decide. I think that might be how they would defend this decision to allow restaurants to open up by saying, we are also factoring in the economic impact, which a doctor or a researcher scientist doesn't have to worry about that aspect.
Right. So in defense of that, I fully understand the economic part of this as much as anybody because I'm also living it, right? Mm-hmm. The other part is, historically, places that lock down, buckle down, come back stronger. I mean, that's true in the 1918 pandemic. I think it will be true this time because when we lose a bigger percent of our population because of this, I think we're going to be in trouble. And I think that it's a gamble, And I think that it would be one thing, honestly, guys, it'd be one thing if we had done this lockdown for a month and the cases stayed at, single digits a day or whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
But you're seeing these spikes that are based on being locked down, right? So there was the Easter spike. There's going to be a Mother's Day spike. I wrote about this as well. So now we have to sit and wait for this 25% spike. At the same time, the economics of running a business at a quarter capacity it's still not a business. You're still not making money. You're losing money, essentially. I can't operate my restaurant at a quarter capacity. It's absurd. I can't run it at 50% capacity. Otherwise, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
None of that makes sense to me.
Yeah, the profit margins can be pretty narrow, especially for, a smaller place, doesn't have a lot of tables to begin with. No, I get where you're coming from.
And we can pivot and do to-go orders. We can pivot and do curbside pickup. We can do that stuff and operate within somewhat of a margin.
Are you doing that, Jim? Is that what's going on? I haven't been to Eloise since all this started, but maybe I'll put in a carry-out order and get everybody shawarma later.
Yeah!
I mean,
we run Tuesday through Friday, for dinner, 4:30 to 8, and then on Saturday, Sunday we do 11 to 8, so you can get breakfast all day.
Okay, and
the way we did that is that we took some of our staff that would normally be your bartender or your waiter, and they're now driving delivery on weeknights. So we're keeping our staff. We're not using third-party platforms.
Right.
I don't think that's a good thing either for me. I want to employ my people as much as I can.
Let me just add this, by the way. Tip really nice, guys. I mean, if somebody's out there that's being impacted by this and they bring the food to your house and that's not normally a thing they do, really showing some gratitude and, go above the standard 15%. I think it would be a nice thing to do.
Yeah,
Good.
People are. It's been, honestly, man, it has been inspiring to see our customers and to see some of our staff. Some of our staff has taken, people that have seniority are turning over their shifts to people that have more mouths to feed. I've seen incredible kindness and humanity from my staff and our customers, and that part has blown me away. Honestly.
Jim, before
people tipping 100%,
yeah, right. You know what? 100% would be a really nice tip to drop on somebody.
Yeah.
And it would really, make their day. And God, I hear these stories about some people, getting yelled at and berated because of the circumstances. Just be the person that makes up for those other people, And Jim, one other thing, I am trying to be considerate of your time here. When we talked to you the last time, you had said that you had a friend that you were almost certain had coronavirus and could not get a test because he hadn't been out of the country, but he had been traveling, or he had been working with a lot of traveling concert crews. You said that you had called or tried to call in favors to get this guy a test, and you had been unable to do it. What I just would like an update. What happened? You didn't tell us who the friend is or specifically what he does, but I want to find out a follow-up. What happened?
So finally I got, after I talked to you that day, it kind of evolved into getting, pretty high up at the county medical, and they said, okay, fine, we'll give him a test. Where is he? And I said, well, he's in, I'll get somebody to bring him to you, his roommate or whatever. He's in Santa Teresa. As soon as I said Santa Teresa, they punted it to New Mexico and sort of said oh, no, we can't do it. He's in New Mexico. So then I went through another day of talking to people in New Mexico. And I mean, just funny stuff, talking to people in Santa Fe that don't know where Santa Teresa is or if that's in New Mexico. Eventually he got to the point where he was so sick. I said, look, at this point, I'm just going to call 911 and let them know to go, assuming he has it, and then there's nothing anybody else can. I don't want him to die in a bed by himself.
Right.
So eventually, they got him into UMC, took him, and had this special protocol to bring him into the building, and he tested negative, and he has had pneumonia. But I'm not sure. Now you're hearing that some of those early tests were false. Negative, so I don't know.
Is he better?
He's better, yeah. He's
Good.
in the hospital for 3 weeks, though.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it was it was crazy. Yeah, I mean, just lungs filled with fluid and crazy stuff. And I'm glad he's okay, and I hope he didn't have it. I mean, I hope nobody has it. That's
Right.
kind of the
Right.
point of what I wrote is like, I get that this is crazy, but the thing is, man, it's crazy. Like, it really is just crazy. It's not going to be a quarter crazy or half crazy or 75% crazy. Like, this is just crazy. So if we're talking about, you want to, like, let's only let 25% of people die. Like, I can't make that call, and I get that. That's why this is hard on public officials. I understand that part. And if I wanted to make those decisions, I would run for office, and I would do what was best for the biggest percentage of the population, and that's the job, right?
Yeah.
It's not for a 0.25% of the population.
Jim, even though your story,
That's crazy.
even though the story ended up, the guy was in the hospital for pneumonia, it kind of illustrates the whole thing. We're being told in a lot of different ways by people in power, we got plenty of tests. It's easy to get a test. It's no problem. Then we hear an actual story, and it's like, no, it's not easy. You have to jump through hoops. If they get a chance, they'll punt you to another entity and make you start all over again. So this pitch that we've got all the tests we could possibly need, you can say firsthand that is just not true.
It's not true. Yeah. And it's scary, and it's hard, and it's emotional, and it's freaky, and all of us are, I mean, I feel bad for the landlords. This isn't like, the big band landlords can suffer. I don't care. Like, no, not at all. Like, we should be putting as much energy as we can and money as we can into the people that I don't want them to lose their property. I don't want people to be foreclosed on. Like, there's ways that we could do this. There's ways that at the end of the day, I think when this is all said and done, you will see people that worked really hard to make this as good a situation as they could. And I think you'll see people that kind of walked the line a little bit, right? And then I think you're going to see people that just don't care. That's fine. Yeah. But I'll tell you one thing. I'm making notes, right? And I know a lot of people that are. Okay, this place is doing this. This person did this. Like,
just keeping track of who.
Just keep track. Yeah.
Of who did what during this crucial time.
Right. All right. Because I know places that are working really hard to do curbside service, and Christina and I are going and trying to support those places as well, and ordering takeout and doing whatever we can.
Maybe we need like a Jim's list, like an Emily's list.
There you go.
We'll go by Jim's list. Is like, I'm really in the mood for their calamari, but I don't think they're doing as good a job as they could be with the social distancing.
Well, I don't want to be that person. But I'm just saying.
All right, Jim, let's keep an eye on it and talk again soon, okay?
All right, thanks so much.
And everybody check out the album from Sparta. It's Trust the River. If you love Sparta, it's got some great stuff. It's got a great 2-minute song on there called Cat Scream. So I'm going to, Joanna, since you're a cat person, I'm going to download that and get it for you so you can have it on your... I'll download the whole album for you, as a matter of fact. Thanks, Jim, for being on with us, and fingers crossed, best to everybody.
Yeah, thanks so much.
All right.
Stay safe.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, friend.
There's Jim Ward of Sparta, and at the drive-in, let's take a break. We'll come back, and we have more of the Buzz Adams Morning Show on the way right after this.